Four international aid workers are safe and heading home after a dramatic rescue by security forces in Somalia.
The hostages were rescued on Monday during a joint operation by Kenyan and Somali military forces 3 days after being captured. Now, a Somali police official told VOA the four were discovered after a gunfight between the captors and security officials about 80 kilometers from the Kenya border.
Well, the aid workers were kidnapped on Friday in the massive Dadaab refugee complex in Kenya near the border with Somalia.
Kenyan officials have not said who was behind the kidnappings. They have blamed similar incidents on the Somali-based militant group Al-Shabaab.
Now, meanwhile, Kenya's Prime Minister is vowing to keep Kenyan forces in Somalia until security is restored. Raila Odinga made the pledge a day after 17 people died in attacks on two churches in the eastern town of Garissa. At least 40 more people were injured. Authorities say masked gunmen hurled grenades and opened fire on worshippers in both churches. The deadliest attack took place at the African Inland Church, where at least 10 people were killed, including 2 police officers. The second attack took place at a Catholic church. Mr. Odinga blamed Somali militants for the attacks. Garissa is located about 140 kilometers west of the Somalia border. Now, for more on the government's efforts to keep its citizens safe, we're joined via phone from Nairobi by Alfred Mutua, the spokesman of the Kenyan government. Welcome to In Focus, Dr. Mutua.
Thank you very much, Makori.
Now, in the last 2 weeks, there have been attacks in Mombasa, kidnappings in the Dadaab refugee camps, and now the weekend's deaths, killings of 17 Kenyans. Do Kenyans have any reason to feel safe anymore, Dr. Mutua?
Yes, they do. You know, in actual fact, despite these attacks happening, they have not really shaken what you'd call the Kenyan security feeling among the Kenyan people, because these have been isolated events. They have been targeted at faraway places and outside the main centers. We know there have been attacks in Mombasa, but they were targeted at a small slum area. We see these attacks in Garissa at a church. They are of major concern. But Kenyans are behind the operations being conducted by the Kenyan government and the police to root out this evil that we know has been imported to our country. So Kenyans in a whole understand why the attacks are happening, and they know they are just short-term attacks, and that once we solve the problem in Somaliland, it's going to be, it's going to be better.
You call them short-term attacks, but they seem to become more frequent. What are the strategies on the ground to ensure that this are not going to take a life of its own and become a daily thing in Kenya?
What is happening is that you have to realize that when you're fighting terrorism, the police have to be 100% accurate all the time. The terrorists just need accuracy of 1% just to succeed once in a while. What we are seeing are reactions by different cell groups because of the operations that is going on in Somalia. What the Kenyan government understands, the Kenyan people have understood, is that we have to solve the problem in Somalia if we're going to have any peace in Kenya. And so these are reactions by small cell groups. They are uncoordinated. None of the attacks, nobody is coming out and saying we are responsible for this attack. They are isolated. There are people using grenades that they have picked up, around the continent, and guns. And so we understand that, for example, we say that if you have a constant stomachache and you keep on going to the doctor for medicine, and yet you're eating bad food at home, you need to sort out the bad food. Otherwise, you can take all the medicine you want. You'll always be sick.
Now, Dr. Mutua,
the problem now is Somalia.
Yeah. Do you have some of these actually Kenyan citizens participating in some of these attacks?
We've got indoctrination of a few Kenyan citizens that were taken to Somalia, being promised a lot of money by these terrorist groups, and some of them are coming back and being assimilated within the community. But we have been tracking them. We've been trying to get as many of them as possible that come back, and trying to indoctrinate them, if there's anything like that word.
Well,
and so it's a matter of basically, terrorism is a global phenomenon.
Well,
so it's something that we're all fighting together, yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dr. Mutua. That was Alfred Mutua, Kenya's government spokesman, speaking to us from Nairobi.